All right, thank you for your patience. We're coming back from closed session. We'll start off with actions taken in closed session. Trustee Milcher.
Yes, thank you. On a 7-0 vote, the board approved a general leave with benefits to teach a part-time class for 2014-2015 academic year to a full-time classified employee at Saddleback College. On a 6-1 vote, with Trustee Bill J. casting a negative vote, the board voted to terminate the Dean of Advanced Technology and Applied Science contract and directs counsel to prepare a formal decision for the board. On a 7-0 vote, the board voted to accept the Dean of Fine Arts and Business Sciences at Irvine Valley College's resignation effective June 30th, 2014. And that's all the action I can report out.
2015.
Oh, it says 2014, but you're right. It is 2015. Correct. Thank you.
And do we have a correction on the vote for the termination?
No. I think that's correct. I said 6-1.
I heard you say 7. All right, sorry.
Oh, 6-1. Thank you.
My mistake. All right. Next, we'll have have you please stand for the invocation led by Trustee Jemal, and then remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Trustee Lang.
Okay, so let's pray for calm in Ferguson, Missouri. We know there's a lot of tensions in that part of the country, and we pray for peace. Given that this is the last meeting before Thanksgiving, it's a cliche, but I think we have a lot of thanks to be part of this, live in this great country and this great state, and to be part of this wonderful community college district. So I ask that we just take a few minutes and be thankful for what we have. Thank you.
Please join me as we salute the flag to our great nation. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Next, we have public comments. I have 2 requests to speak. First, I have Paula Jacobs, and then on deck, I have Juan Salazar. Paula?
Good evening. I'd like to read a statement on behalf of one of our part-time faculty members. This is a young, single, part-time faculty member who couldn't be with us tonight, so I'm reading her statement. I've been teaching part-time for over 3 years. I want to be the best instructor I can be for my students, yet with all the stress of trying to make a living, I find it extremely hard to do so. I often feel like a hypocrite telling my students that education is a pathway to financial stability when it has not been one for me. In fact, I currently owe over $15,000 in student loans for graduate school, and I can only afford to pay $50 a month. I struggle with paying my rent. I have no air conditioning in my car. I struggle with paying my dental bills, medical bills, and to pay for glasses. I have anxiety over the fact that I may or may not have classes next semester, and that there is no foreseeable possibility to retire ever. After class, my students line up to talk to me because I do not have office hours. Since I teach at 2 schools, I am constantly on the freeway, and I do not have the ability to meet with them outside of class at a convenient time for both of us. This is exacerbated by the fact that SOCCCD does not pay me for an office hour and does not provide office space. I know I have lost students because I cannot discuss their personal issues in a private place. I also teach at the California State University as a lecturer. This is where I receive health care as a part-timer and get paid for office hours. There, seniority is taken into consideration, and if I teach a certain number of classes, I know that I am guaranteed that number of classes the next year. After teaching for 3 years, I now have a 1-year contract. After 5 years, I will have a 3-year contract. After 5 years, I will also be eligible for free tuition at any Cal State. In the SOCCCD, I feel neither valued nor appreciated for all the work that I do. I stay because I love the students, and I believe that the discipline in which I teach is beneficial to their lives. I believe that my students deserve better. They deserve instructors that have good working conditions, benefits, and equitable pay for the work that they do, conditions that afford all faculty the time, energy, and space to spend sufficient time on campus to be there for students, the positivity that content, passionate instructors can have on students can be life-changing. Stressed, exhausted teachers have a harder time passing along that passion. I know that we have the resources to do better by our part-time faculty. I hope that we also have the desire. Thank you.
Thank you. Next we have Juan Salazar.
Good evening. Well, I would like to start. This is my first time being here. And one thing I'm very disappointed is for the fact, the time frame. You know, the meeting is supposed to start at 7. Look at the time. I hope you guys are comfortable. You know, I have places to go. My time is worth money. I imagine yours as well. With that being said, as you guys being the leaders that run this, there should be an example being set. When I go to class, I have to be there at a certain time. There's no if or what's about it. Another thing about time and money is I greatly don't appreciate these teachers and the way that they're being treated. One, for the fact that obviously I'm the future. And as being the future, the people that are supposed to show me are the ones that are suffering from it. It's a trickle-down effect. May I ask you, gentlemen and ladies, how much has your paycheck increased in the last couple years? How much has theirs? Christmas and Thanksgiving is coming up. We have families we have to feed, right? I'm part of this work situation. And how can we do it if we're being misrepresented? If we only get 2 minutes to speak? At the end of the day, it might just go over your head. You guys go home to your comfortable lives, but we have to go back to this reality. Like the lady said, there's resources and things that can be done that can change this. At the end of the day, I hope that you guys can hear our grievances and do something about it. You guys have a wonderful night.
Thank you. All right, next we have recognitions. We have Irvine Valley College President Glenn Roquemore.
Thank you very much. In my experience, holding a leadership role in certain statewide organizations will bring not only recognition to the district from where the leader originates, but also provides the opportunity to influence the direction of the system as a whole. There's no doubt in my mind that this high-level influence will return as a benefit to the district. And tonight, I would like to commend 3 such leaders. First is Tiffany Tran. She's a counselor, full-time faculty member in the Counseling Center, and the current articulation officer. She was appointed to the Transfer and Articulation Committee of the Academic Senate for California Community Colleges during the 2014-2015 academic year. Next, Corinne Dowdy is the Dean of Instruction, Economic and Workforce Development, hired this year. Her prior working experience has equipped her to develop and nurture CTE programs. She has been elected to be president for the California Community Colleges Association of Occupational Education Board of Directors. And then thirdly, Dr. Diana Hurlbutt, who could not be here tonight, is a biology instructor, a full-time faculty member, and current curriculum chair at IVC. She's been appointed to the Educational Policies Committee of the Academic Senate for California Community Colleges during the 2014-2015 academic year, and I congratulate all 3. So here's...
Next, we have President Todd Burnett.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, everybody. I would like to bring up, if I could, Michael James, our Assistant Director of Facilities, Louis Sessler, our Facilities Maintenance and Energy Projects Manager, and our Chief of Saddleback College Police, Chris Wilkinson. Come on up, guys. You might have all recalled early October, in fact, it was October 7th, something happened at Saddleback in our district, and that was we lost water at our campus. You all might have recalled that an announcement went out on that day, reminding or telling everybody that we had a water line break and we were going to lose water for the entire campus. We were originally told, actually, at that time, that actually it would take probably 3 days until we'd have water restored, which you can imagine. If you don't have water, you can't have classes. If you don't have classes and you can't have employees here, basically the college is shut down. Folks, and what was supposed to be 3 days of no water, because of the great efforts of the gentleman you see up here right now, and rising to the occasion, and because of their leadership, we were able to restore water within 20 hours at Saddleback College. You can applaud. Isn't that great? But let me tell you what's even more amazing. What's more amazing with these three gentlemen and our two directors here of facilities, none of the vice presidents were here that day or that week, and their direct supervisor, the director of maintenance and operations, John Azurevich, and Jim Rogers, the other director over facilities. So Mike and Lewis actually stepped up and took on this entire operation without their direct two supervisors as well as the vice presidents. So I think it's more of an amazing accomplishment. And with that, we wanted to give you just a recognition of your fantastic work that you did do on behalf of our college. We were able to have classes, as you know, within a day. Back up and running. So thank you guys very, very much. Where is it? I can't read it. That's Chris. Yeah. There you are. Thank you.
All right, next we have a joint presentation from both presidents.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, members of the board, we're very pleased that Dr. Glenn Roquemore and myself are here to do a joint presentation of some wonderful personnel at both of our institutions. I know. And so I'm going to recognize first Saddleback College, and then Glenn's going to recognize IVC and the reasons why. As you probably know, Saddleback College and, of course, IVC, we have a long and recognized history of serving our nation's military veterans through our VETS programs, transition services, which have been used as the model, actually, throughout the state and county. We are proud to offer robust counseling services, VA vocational rehabilitation counseling, employment assistance, connections with numerous community partners, and much more. This past week, some of you joined us for events recognizing our veterans and training faculty and administrators on the learning needs of our veterans. This was a sample of the outreach and in-reach our VETS programs offered. Our VET Center was one of the first in the United States, and we continue to redefine the veterans services landscape. We are excited to join our sister college as a 2015 top military school designee.
And thank you very much, Todd, for that. IVC's Veteran Service Center promotes successful transition from military life in a holistic manner by offering support services to include mental wellness counseling, academic counseling, disability certification and vocational rehabilitation enrollment on-site, computer labs, health education, vet-to-vet tutoring, scholarship programs, and utilizes a student-centered approach that allows our veterans to be successful in their educational endeavor. We're very proud to join with Saddleback College in this recognition. Thank you. I didn't mention Nancy Montgomery, who is our Director of Health and Wellness Center and also has the Veterans Center as part of her responsibility.
by the way, Colin Williams and Terrence Nelson. Saddleback College.
All right. Next, we have board reports. We'll start with Student Trustee Carrillo.
So, though I have not much to report, I was overlooking the agenda, and I'm very proud of the assets value going up to 297 from 289. It's $8 million net change. On another note, however, I did hear the public comment from the student, and I just want the students that are hearing this or seeing this, and of course the professors, if a student has a problem or feels like he needs to talk or advocacy or anything, tell him not to hesitate to please come to me. It is my job to do that. I try to do it to the best of my ability. He looked very mad and distressed, and I apologize for that, everybody. But, tell him please come to me, and we'll work something out. All right, thank you.
Trustee Lane.
Thank you. Since our last board meeting, Trustee Jemal and I, representing the audit committee of this board, along with our administrative team headed up by Vice Chancellor Fitzsimmons, and our esteemed team of Kim McCord, David Kachurian, Carol Hilton, Sherry Wenzel, and others, met with our team of outside auditors from Christie White & Associates, headed up by Tanya Rogers and John Coulter. We were also joined at that meeting by the directors and certain staff of both Saddleback Community College and the Irvine Valley College Foundation boards. The product or outcome of our meeting and all the hard work that was done is on display tonight in item 6.1, which we'll talk about a little bit earlier in the agenda. But my purpose really was to applaud our entire financial team for their efforts in helping make our community college district perhaps the financially strongest one in the state. And for that, obviously, I'm very grateful. My only other comment is belated expression of gratitude to all our veterans for all of your sacrifice on behalf of our country. Thank you.
Trustee Wright.
Thank you very much. I attended a number of events this past month, and also since our last board meeting on October the 27th. First of all, I attended the annual K through 12 partnership breakfast at Saddleback College, held in room Student Service Center 212, and it was full. And it was wonderful to see all the educators there and to hear the report by Dr. Burnett and others about how well Saddleback College is doing. I also attended the football game on Saturday, November the 1st. We played Fullerton College, and we happened to lose that game. But we won our last game, which was held this last Saturday, beating, I think it was Golden West. Our record was 5. Our record this year was 5 wins and 5 losses, and we thought we might get a bowl bid, but I was just told that we didn't make a bowl bid, so that was too bad. The other thing I wanted to indicate is that I attended the IVC and also the Saddleback Annual Veterans Day commemoration at IVC. It was held on Thursday, November the 6th in their Student Service Center. This was held in the lobby of the Student Service Center, and it was a very well-attended event, and I certainly enjoyed the comments that were made at that event, honoring our veterans and those students who are veterans. Also at Saddleback College on Monday, November the 10th at 12 o'clock, the Veterans Day ceremony was held at the Saddleback College Veterans Memorial, and also I enjoyed that event also. I also wanted to applaud IVC for their model United Nations. We learned that they won a total of 12 awards and took away top honors. And finally, the last thing is I wanted to congratulate Saddleback College for the contribution that Sue and Bill Gross contributed. They contributed another $250,000 to the Gross Scholars Program, which benefits students in selected career and technical education majors. And so this now has $490,000 to help enable 80 students to receive scholarships to prepare them for skilled jobs. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I also, too, attended the Veterans Day ceremony on November 6th at IVC. As Trustee Wright alluded to, it was very well attended, and the reception afterwards in the Veterans Center was very, very nice. I really wish I could have made the one at Saddleback, but I was in a professional development, so I really wish I could have been there. So, but, maybe next year. Other than that, I'm glad to, kind of piggyback on Trustee Jemal's invocation that we have a lot to be thankful for in this district, and I will be doing my best to celebrate that thanks next week, as I'm sure many of you will also. Trustee Padberg.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to give a very brief report. In the last few weeks, I ran for re-election to this position again, and was able to get re-elected to my 4th consecutive term and 16th year. So I feel pretty proud about that. And I will do your bidding and that of the college district for the next 4 years. So I will go through the general action items, and those are the ones that are the consent calendar, but I'll go through those and do the best I can. And then the action items 6.0 and beyond will be discussed. So we'll take care of those for you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Milcher.
Thank you. Congratulations to Trustee Padberg for her re-election to the board. We're very happy to have her back, to have her continue in this position. Excuse me. I attended a number of things. I'm going to mention them briefly. I went to the Veterans Day event at Irvine Valley College. I attended Frankenstein, the production Frankenstein at Irvine Valley College, and lend me a tenor at Saddleback College. I attended the science lecture series at Saddleback College with Joe Palca, and Joe Palca is the NPR science editor, and he talks about science, and he talks about how he makes science interesting. And he said on his radio shows, people could turn it off at any time. So he said he has to make it interesting and fun. And how he does it, he actually calls the scientists, even when they win the Nobel Prize, he calls them, interviews them, and is able to make it understandable to all of his audience. Just like a professor's here. You have to make it interesting, you have to make it fun, you have to make it entertaining, and really something that the students will learn, something that they can understand. So we thank all of you for all your work. Along that line, I attended a wonderful day, the Irvine Valley College Student Research Symposium at Irvine Valley College. But this was actually a joint project of both Saddleback College and Irvine Valley College's honor programs. And it also was from the Irvine Valley College Honor Society. And they had poster presentations, just as they did in research conferences. They had presentations by research teams, some on high-temperature superconductivity, something I'm really very interested in. I actually talked a little bit about the research I have done at the Cleveland Clinic in orthopedic surgery research, where we helped originate some of the research that was done to help originate the total hip replacement, which is pretty exciting research to do. But the studies I heard was very high caliber, and I just want to let you know that the professors were there all day on Saturday. They don't have to do this, but they were there coaching their students, helping their students, and they're going to be presenting this material at Cal State Fullerton next Saturday, and I hope to be able to attend that too. So thank you.
Right.
Very proud of everyone about these projects.
Trustee Jemal.
Well, first, congratulations, Trustee Padberg, on your re-election. 4 consecutive terms is no small feat, and we're glad to have you back.
Thank you.
As Trustee Lang mentioned, we had our audit committee meeting, and I echo the comments that he made, and I in particular want to give praise to our chairman, Trustee Lang. And he comes prepared to these meetings with Post-it notes and detailed notes within all of the 300 pages of the audit committee documents, and really I praise you for that. You did an excellent job. couple other things. Was on Laguna Woods TV, as many of us probably we do this, I don't know, every other month, or we rotate among trustees, and that's always every month. That's always a good experience to do that and talk about what's happening at the colleges within that community, which is so active in what we do here, especially the emeritus programs. And lastly, I don't know if others caught it, but today I was really pleased to see the announcement from the State Chancellor's Office on the creation of a task force to improve workforce education and promote job creation. Nobody likes too many task forces. There are too many task forces that exist. We all know that. Yeah, I know you're on a lot of them yourselves, but I think it's good timing. I think the Chancellor is right on to establish this kind of task force. Obviously, the devil's in the details and the work they produce, but I know they have planned town hall meetings in 2015 to bring together all elements of the community. So I'm really hopeful for that, and I think the State Chancellor seems to be doing a pretty good job leading our system. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Jay.
Oh, yes, I was really pleased looking through the agenda this month. Of the following countries listed, West Africa, Mexico, Yemen, Mozambique, Israel, Afghanistan, Ukraine, Sierra Leone, Lebanon, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, Libya, Djibouti, Iran, North Korea, Syria, Colombia, and the only one we've got going this year is Spain. All of the others are programs that we've won during summers. Until the last few years, we've really buttoned down on the safety of our field trips to other countries a few years ago. And I was partly responsible for it. I remember expressing a lot of concern about the safety of the students. But one of the things we did was, unfortunately, I'm afraid we discouraged as many field trips to other countries that we had taken. And so those responsible for putting the U.S. Department of State list out and are printing it in our published materials now, great. Congratulations, guys. I'm glad to see we're back on the train to other countries. Thank you.
Thank you. Chancellor Portner.
Yes, the state leaders and our local business community are looking more and more for the community colleges to prepare the workforce for our county. Our colleges in the past, I think, have not had the kind of interaction with the business community as being expected of us now. And the colleges are rising to that requirement. Both presidents and their leadership teams have done some important things to make themselves better connected with the business community. At Saddleback, Todd and his team spearheaded the effort for the K through 12 through college, university, and career pathway grant, a $15 million grant, and the college is to be greatly commended for that. The president also has been part of working along with the South County Chamber of Commerce. At Irvine Valley College, President Roquemore has been involved with the Irvine Chamber of Commerce, and he leads the Economic and Workforce Development Committee there with the city of Irvine. But the biggest feather in all of our caps right now is one that Glenn did just achieve, and that's being named for the Board of Governors of the Orange County Business Council. This is the first time that there's ever been a community college representative on the Business Council, and Glenn's been appointed for a 3-year term, and I wish you well, and congratulations on your appointment.
Thank you. Next, we have College President's Report. Who'd like to go first?
I will go ahead because the phone is right here. I will be very quick, but I'll also congratulate Trustee Padberg for being reelected and your length of time here on the board. Deeply appreciated. And I would like to put a thanks out to all of our trustees for attending the various events that we do have on campus. It's always great seeing you there. and in some cases having some speeches and supporting our students and faculty and staff. So then the last one was the solar decathlon, and this one is a real pleasure. This is where Saddleback College and Irvine Valley College get to join together, and along with a university, both a private and a public university, UCI and Chapman, to compete internationally to build a solar home. And we had a groundbreaking to commemorate the beginning of that project. It'll be a student-led project, so we're hoping that they're going to do a fine job, and I'm sure they will. So it was a great event. It was nice to see a number of you out there to support the students and get that solar decathlon for Casa de Sol launched for a October 2015 competition. Thank you.
I think our students are going to do a great job.
I think so too.
With that, Trustee Wright actually mentioned something that I wanted to bring up, and you all heard that the Sue and Bill Gross contributed another $250,000, making it almost $500,000, and they're looking to do more on this particular scholarship program, which is actually helping students in what we call the forgotten middle to not only go through their education and training at Saddleback, but also to get a position after their schooling. In addition, I had some more good news in our foundation. We received another $250,000 from one of our longtime supporters, Gary Damsker. And he gave a bequest pledge for $250,000 just this last week at a wonderful reception I met him at, and it was a very nice evening to when somebody tells you they're going to give you $250,000. So congratulations to our foundation and our students. Once again, like everyone else, I want to congratulate Trustee Nancy Patrick for her reelection. Congratulations. Thank you for being here for another 4 years.
Yes.
With that, there are two events coming up. 'Tis the season, folks, and we have our Feast of Lights. I always tell everybody every year, and anybody that has never gone, ooh, shame on you, you're missing the best thing. That is the Feast of Lights that our choir and orchestra do. And it's the weekend of December 7th and 6th. So I really encourage anybody that hasn't gone before. It's really a treat. And then I also want to invite everybody. We have our annual holiday party at Saddleback College for all of our employees, our trustees, and is invited on Wednesday, December 10th, 3 to 5 p.m. up in SSC 212. And with that said, happy Thanksgiving.
Okay. ASG, looks like we have one. You're on.
I want to say happy early Thanksgiving, and I want to congrats Nancy. She actually represents the district that I live in, so I voted for her. Oh. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I also wanted to congrat Terrence Nelson and Colin Williams from the Saddleback Vet Center. They're awesome. They totally deserve that award. Yeah. And off of that, we student government and the Veterans Student Council just finished up Veterans Week last week, and it was an all-week event from the 10th to the 13th, and they had a beautiful flag memorial set up. We actually set up over 700 flags in the grass, and it was really awesome, and they had the new POW and MIA flag set up. And then the barbecue on Thursday raised over $500 in donations, so it was really awesome to see the community come together to support the vets at Saddleback. And then also, since the holidays are coming up, we're ending our turkey drive this Thursday. It's for the Extended Opportunity Program Services and Disabled Student Program Services at Saddleback, and student government is working with them to raise different non-perishable food items for the families, and it ends this Thursday.
So real quick, can you give everyone your names since they can't see your nameplate?
Nina Lavi. I'm actually the vice president, not the president. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice job. All right. Moving on then, we have board request for report. We have one request for report on the grants proposal process at Saddleback College and Irvine Valley College, submitted by Trustee Lang. So he filled the necessary paperwork. So at this point, we just vote to approve that board request.
So moved.
I have a motion.
Second.
And a second. So we'll go. Would you like to speak to your request? No. All right. Seeing no other speakers, we'll go and vote. Trustee Jay?
Aye.
Okay. We have a unanimous yes vote, one student advisory yes vote. Thank you. All right, next we'll move to the consent calendar. Actually, yes. Real quick, before we get to that, I'm going to move up, board's discretion. We have 6.1, 6.2, and 6.3. Speaking of time is money, we have some people on the clock, and we need to let them do their report so they can get off our clock. So we have 6.1, acceptance of District Annual Audit Report.
Good evening. My name is Tanya Rogers, and I'm here from Christie White Associates. It's my pleasure to present your annual fiscal audit for June 30th, 2014. For the district as a whole, you have 3 opinions, and I'll go over from the 30,000-foot level. On page 1 of the report is the independent auditor's report on the financial statements as a whole. It describes management's responsibilities, the auditor's responsibilities, and the most important part of that on page 2 is that, in our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects the respective financial position of the district. So what that's known as is an unmodified report, which again, or unmodified opinion, which is the highest opinion that you can receive. On page, towards the back of the report, on page 63 is a summary of all of the auditor's results, noting the 3 opinions in total that I referred to. The first, again, is the financial statement opinion. We did not identify any material weaknesses within the district's financial system. For your federal or your single audit, it is an unmodified opinion again, and we did not note any findings or any significant deficiencies or material weaknesses that needed to be reported. We audited your financial aid cluster. And then for your state award, which is all the different state steps that we're required to do by the state chancellor's office, again, it was an unmodified opinion with no material weaknesses. Towards the very back of the report on page 67, then followed by 68, is your prior year finding, and I'm pleased to report that that was cleared as well, and we have no findings to report for this year. Now, the major portion of your report consists of the management's discussion and analysis, as well as your major statements. If you look to page 13, again, towards the beginning of the report, you'll see your statement of net position. And again, your statement of net position for the fiscal year ending June 30th is $542 million, which is up, $43 million over prior year. Significant change.
Yeah.
And then you have your required note disclosures as well as supplementary schedules in addition to that. Would you prefer I move on to the next reports all at the same time?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and do 6.2, and then we'll see if there's questions, and then take action after that.
My pleasure. The next report is your retirement futurist investment report for your trust financial statements. This is reported with governmental auditing standards, and on page 1, again, is the independent auditor's report. Similar format to what I referred to in the prior report. And again, on page 2, in our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects the net position of the retirement futurist trust. You have your management discussion and analysis, and then if you look on page 7, you could see your total net position for the trust is $95.5 million. That's a growth on page 8, you can see, of $11.1 million in a single year. I don't see that in many trust retirement accounts. So you could see that the district contributed $3.5 million, but your total investment income was $11.5 million for the year. So that's exceptional. And there were no findings associated with that report. Again, I am pleased to announce. Moving on to the foundations. The first is Saddleback. Now, these foundation financial statements are presented in the FASB format versus GASB that you see with the other governmental entities. So you see a few modifications or changes. On page 1 of Saddleback is the independent auditor's report. Again, the same layout. Management's responsibilities, auditor's responsibilities. And on page 2, again, in our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects. the highest opinion that you can receive. On page 3, you'll see your statement of financial position. And again, your total net assets, if you look down towards the bottom of the page, is $7.7 million. You could see the growth on the next page from $6.7 million. So over $1 million change in net assets for this particular foundation. For Irvine Valley College, again, the same format in the FASB format. On page 1, same layout, and again, in our opinion, the financial statements referred to present fairly in all material respects. On page 3 of this report, you'll see your total net assets are just over $2 million. Prior year at $1.7 million, so you had a growth of $262,000, which is a favorable growth as well. The next report will be the Advanced Technology and Education Park, or ATEP Foundation. Same format again. Page 2 shows that the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects. On page 3, you'll see that your total net assets are $12,489. Not a lot of activity in this foundation. You had a change of net assets of a negative $20 for the year. And last but not least is the Foundation for South Orange County Community College District. Same format for the Independent Auditor's Report. On page 2, it's our opinion that the financial statements present fairly in all material respects. On page 3, you'll see your total net assets of $7,329. And on the following page, you'll see there was a slight change of negative $234 for the year. So the one thing I would like to note is for the foundation specifically, you don't see a section of findings per se. Under FASB, we don't report findings. What we do is report on significant deficiencies and or material weaknesses, of which I'm pleased to report that we did not have any. We do have recommendations for management. We forwarded those on, but none were to the level that required a reporting in this format.
Thank you very much. Any questions on the report? No?
I'll move approval of 6.1, 2, and 3.
Second.
All right. I think we do have to do them individually, so we'll. Thank you very much.
I would just like to say I would like to thank staff and management. They were exceptionally helpful and efficient through this process, and I appreciate that very much on behalf of the team.
Thank you. All right. So we have a motion for 6.1 and a second. Seeing no request to speak, we'll go ahead and vote on the item. We have a unanimous yes vote and a student advisory yes vote. Do I have a motion for 6.2? Yes, I do. And I have a second. Seeing no request to speak, we'll vote on that item.
What?
We have a unanimous yes vote, one in student advisory yes vote. 6.3.
Second.
Motion and a second again. All right. All those in favor, go ahead and vote. We have a unanimous yes vote and one student advisory yes vote. Now we can go back on our agenda to the consent calendar items, starting with 5.0. Do I have any polls on the consent calendar?
Yes.
Any items that would like to be?
I do.
Yes.
5.3 and 5.10.
5.3 and 5.10. Okay. Any other polls? Nobody wants to try and get themselves on the list for going to Hawaii? All right. So I need a motion for the consent calendar minus 5.3 and 5.10. Do I have some motion?
Second.
Motion from Trustee Lang, second from Trustee Wright. Seeing no request to speak, we'll go ahead and vote on those items. Unanimous yes vote with one student advisory yes. So 5.3.
Yes, so I was wondering, I know it's relating to a monthly lease with this language center out of, I forgot what state they're out of, but had a question regarding, do we know what their student tuition rates and fees are? Just curious. Do you have any idea? If we don't, maybe we can get me the answer later. And then secondly, I think it was mentioned in here that we saw some likelihood that they would eventually enroll as Saddleback students. So what's your prediction on that, Mr. Burnett?
Sure. In fact, we just asked that today for another trustee. We have about 70 students in FLS right now. They're going to ramp it up to probably 150. Of those 70 students thus far, we have 30, and obviously, so at least doubling that over there. So it's actually for fulfilling what we had hoped, and that was we were getting several, if not a lot of the students to come to Saddleback directly afterwards.
Okay. And if we could find out the tuition and fees they're charging. Thanks.
All right. Do you need a motion?
So move.
Second.
So I have a motion to approve? I know, but I got it. Before we can do a discussion, I need to. Is that a motion to approve?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Well, I didn't move
Wait.
it, but Bill
Yeah.
moved it, and I seconded it,
But
but
it
he
could-
can take the second.
All right. A motion to approve and a second. So I do have Trustee Correa would like to speak.
Yeah. So I see that FLS. It's going to be a great program. It's like ESL. Obviously, this is going to help a lot of international students, especially for the F1s. I'm just curious, what's the major difference between the ESL and the FLS program? Is there any major difference? Is it the same program, or is it just targeting F1 visa students?
I hope I don't misspeak on this, but which on our English as second language students is different with us compared to the FLS. Is bringing in international students that they recruit and bring here under that. So, do I got that right, Kathy and Juan? They're going like this. So, I think I answered it then. All right.
Extra revenue.
But more importantly, like we had, the other trustee Jemal had said, it's the big intention for us is that those students then enroll at Saddleback after they go through that first initial program.
Okay. Seeing no further requests to speak, we'll go ahead and vote on the item. A unanimous yes vote, one student advisory yes vote. The other poll was 5.10, Information Technology Consultant Services, Neudesic, LLC.
Yes, I pulled it. My only question on this was whether it's this size of contract should be in the consent calendar. It is a fairly substantial contract, and I'm just wondering if this is where it belongs, or should it be a separate item? Chancellor maybe can address that, or someone. Sure.
It's actually not a contract for a given amount. It was time to either qualify or requalify our large IT vendors. We use currently about 9 consultancies. Neudesic is one of the larger ones. So we put out an RFQ&P. We received 3 respondents. We then interviewed 2 of them. This is merely selecting Neudesic to be eligible for upcoming contracts. There is no actual monetary value to this contract tonight.
Thank you.
All right. Then do I have a motion to approve 5.10? I do.
Second.
And I have a second. Trustee Lang, Trustee Jemal. All right. Seeing no requests to speak, we'll go ahead and vote on the item. We have a unanimous yes vote and 1 student advisory yes vote. So now we'll go back down to 6.4, Saddleback College Student Equity Plan Report. This is for review and study.
Move for review and study.
Second.
You're on.
Good evening. Juan Avalos, Vice President of Student Services. I would like to bring my team up to recognize their wonderful effort. We're bringing before you a draft of our plan. The plan is due to the state in January. Part of the process was give you a preview of the work we're doing. We're coming back in December with a final draft with everything in place and all of the elements set. I want to identify the people that are joining me today. To my left, we have Dr. Georgina Guy. She's been playing in the role of co-chair, did a lot of heavy lifting and organizing and coordinating. Penny Scaff, she's the primary person who's the faculty lead on course completion, that outcome, leading group of people on campus focused specifically on that. Claire Cesario. She's been our faculty lead, focused on degree and certificate completion. We have Christina Hinkle, who's been working with the subgroup under ESL Basic Skills Completion here, representing Diana Valdez, who's been the leader in that particular area. And then others that are not here today, but I want to go ahead and recognize Ardith Lynch. She's the faculty leader over the access area. And then Orlantha Nin, who is the faculty leader for the transfer area. I want to do a couple things. I want to give it just a general overview, provide some general insights, and then we'll open it up for specific questions. And depending on the area, we'll have different people come up and respond to those. As you know, the equity plan has resurged along with the various other student success plans. The student success program being the major area that's come up. Equity plan designed to supplement that with the idea that Student Success Act focuses on success of all students. Equity plan looks at making sure that there are no specific populations that have disproportionate impact across 5 specific areas that we've mentioned: access, course completion, ESL basic skills completion, degree and certificate completion, and transfer. In general, when we took a look at the data, because this process begins with a review of data, it was to some degree, at least for me, a little surprising that we didn't see as many disproportionate impacts as probably we would expect initially. It was also surprising to see that the vast majority of disproportionate impact that came up across the areas were on various categories of age, which was a little interesting. Now, the analysis itself identifies areas where there might be disproportionate impact. It doesn't tell you why it exists. It only tells you that it does exist. So for all of our areas, given this being the first year, there's a multitude of strategies that we're looking to follow. Almost in every single area, we have the need for further research. So most of our strategies, our agendas, you'll note that there's a call for digging deeper into the issue, having a better understanding of what some of the factors might be so that future planning could be even more precise and intentional. Other elements of our plans take a look at some form of outreach or targeted effort. You'll see that in the various strategies we presented. Enhancement of services. For some of these populations, there is a need to make adjustments to the way we've done business. One primary example of that has to do with the ESL population and making sure that we have services available outside of the regular hours, earlier, later, on weekends, given that many of those in those age groups may have multitude of responsibilities to juggle. And then a fourth category that you would see across some of these, you'll have some professional development opportunities. So the plan itself begins to, what each group was tasked was take a look at the data, identify where the biggest gaps were, have a conversation around why that might be the case, and then begin to identify specific things that we wanted to approach. One of the desired outcomes from the Chancellor's office perspective is, while each of these efforts have a very targeted approach, they're hoping that colleges begin to leverage all of these different plans to put together success strategies that impact students all the way around. So this plan begins to do that. You'll note in some of the items where we're looking to leverage some of our student success dollars. In other cases, we're looking at AB 86 dollars that might enhance, and vice versa. So it's not just one individual set of monies that are going towards making some improvement, but we're looking to, while being focused in each of the areas, really leveraging them to provide some direct effect. Of the items or the populations of interest that the review took a look at gender, look at various ethnic categories, look at DSPS, disabilities, looked at low income, and then two groups that were added later in the process that are going to be a formal focus next year are foster youth and veterans. So the report you see has those other groups identified. Veterans, we've begun to take a look at some of that data, and some of the preliminary, particularly on access, is very similar as IVC. There's disproportionate impact on access, given that we have such a large veteran population that we serve, the numbers we have on campus do not reflect that proportionality there. The next steps for us is we're going to continue to work on the plan. We're looking to align all of our items with strategic plan items, with student success items. And so in December, we'll have some additional alignment. The plan that you received is, in essence, about 90% complete. There's sections that are summaries that weren't in there that we're refining. You have, it was noted, an overview, itemized budget that we're looking at of all the specific items we're doing now. You can see a flavor for the wide array of activities, and you'll note that it's a pretty comprehensive plan. Some of it is looking to direct services to students. Other elements is looking at expanding services. So you'll notice a wide array, focus on peer mentors, focus on success coaches. The idea was really to be comprehensive, and the team of 30 to 40 individuals on our campus really did some heavy lifting in identifying the kinds of things that they see would make a difference. We will be bringing it back in December. We're making it available to our college community now. It's available on SharePoint for all those who want to take a look and provide some direct feedback. And we will take specific questions if you have questions on the plan itself. Thank you.
Okay, I have a request to speak from Trustee Jemal.
Yes, thanks for your presentation. Dr. Avalos, you mentioned that the issue of age was the major area of concern, and I'm just gleaning through this, and there's a number of different age brackets that seem to be impacted, or what the term you use is major disproportionate impacts. So why do you think this is, what's going on here? I guess boil it down for us.
Yeah, I think part of the idea is we're needing to look at more of that specific. We know that disproportionate impact exists when we apply this methodology. Why, let's say, if the question is more specific to why might some of the age groups be affected in that way? I mean, we have some theories on some of it, but it's not. We don't have definitives on it. For example, the section on ESL basic skills, right? There's a couple of age groups that come up. And it also shows disproportionate impact for, say, Hispanic students. Now, on that particular metric, it's looking at students who at one point were enrolled in either ESL or basic skills, who then later on complete a transfer level course. For some ESL populations, some of our non-accredited ESL populations, their goal is not necessarily to transfer. So you will not see them represented there. So there will be disproportionate impact because that wasn't a trajectory that maybe needed to be there. So in some instances, it's a factor of they were just not intending to go down that route. In other instances,
the numbers maybe less.
I think part of in that particular instance, part of it is determining of those that are in that age bracket who had intentions of transferring, who then do not transfer, then they become the group that we're wanting to minimize that gap. But we don't know what proportion of that group falls into that category versus the one where they were here for life skills, get some language down, and then just want to be productive citizens. They are captured in the same way. Another place where you see this is, since it's looking at a reference point. So here's a dynamic, and I think it might be at play here. In general, our service population is older. Like the region that we serve, age-wise, is older. College populations in general are younger. So when you look at an older with a younger core, they're going to be there is going to be disproportionate impact because they're not represented in the same proportions. So I think part of that you'll see that in our area. So part of our challenge is going to be taking a look at those age groups and saying, okay, once again, of these populations we're here to serve, how much of that service is due to us not meeting their needs, and how much of it is to there are certain needs that they don't have for us. They're not going to be coming as first-time freshmen. They're not going to, we have a high educated population. Some of our needs may not be meeting that. So it's once again looking for that sweet spot of how might that be connected. Another element of it is in the methodology. The students that were included in these cohorts did not include emeritus students. So when you exclude that age bracket and then you compare it to the overall population that's older, there is going to be a huge disconnect. So, we understand it's something to take a look at. We're not sort of rushing to any kind of conclusions just yet, other than we need to dig a little deeper, and where we need to provide where there might be some need, we will then be a little more focused in both getting more of those students here and serving them according to their needs. Right now, it's an area to look at, and so that's part of our initial look. Did anyone have a take on the age issue from your perspective? No.
Okay. Trustee Lang.
Thank you. Just so I understand the process a little bit better, I understand that this is a report that is required by the Board of Governors. Who does the report actually get submitted to? When is the due date of the report? What kind of dollars are essentially available from providing this sort of report? And I'm also interested in what kind of hours we put in to developing the report.
Sure. This is a brand new report as part of, as it's been re-envisioned. I mentioned there used to be equity plans required in the past. They didn't come with any dollars. It was just, what's your plan to address these issues? It was on hold, and now it's come back after the student success plans have come forward. And the idea is that it's supposed to be submitted along with your student success plan. At least that was the initial intent. Since it's been a brand new request, and the requirements of the request have been, they're hot off the press. They've extended the deadline. Initially, it was a November deadline, and then they came with a January 1 deadline. The actual criteria we got towards the beginning of the fall, we had some preliminaries in March. It got updated in the beginning of the fall with the understanding that, and then monies were identified. So it's a little bit out of sync from their perspective because they're trying to move it forward. It's supposed to be an annual process that culminates with that report being submitted. So it's due January 1 to the Chancellor's office. And it has to go through board approval. So we're in line to do that. Every district was given an allocation that was very specifically derived via a lot of different metrics related to equity, population, economic factors in the population, educational factors in the population. There's a whole formulas that went in. Our district received just a little over $1 million, and then we've divided that up between the two colleges in our normal way of 2/3, 1/3. So IVC got just a little under $400,000. We're getting just a little over $700,000, and that's for this year. The idea is that those dollars will be there. It's intended to be an annual kind of thing. So you'll see that our plan, the itemized, is very close to the $700,000. So that's the item we've been working with. Saddleback has been full bore on work on this plan. It started with the data being generated over the summer, and I'm not sure how much hours they spent, but I know that it was a pretty extensive report. And in the fall, we've had teams of individuals who have been meeting in each of the subgroups led by the various faculty leaders. And it's all pretty much been volunteer basis. I don't know how many hours you've spent. I mean, I know how many hours we've spent putting the document together, and it's been significant. I wouldn't even. What's your guess about the amount of hours you've spent on this?
10 hours per committee member.
Yeah. So I mean, it's been very involved because it's been from the point of research, analysis, discussion, strategies. Items, and then trying to put it together. So it's in a very short period of time. I mean, we've been on it for 2 to 3 months.
And this is an annual report that will then
It
be
will.
submitting?
The idea is that this is an annual process,
So-
and that it's to be submitted every single year.
So presumably it would not be as labor intensive.
Correct. This was an inaugural year, and so just getting the team ready and the faculty leaders together in wrapping our brains around this process, the data, took several sessions just to be comfortable with it, so that then they could lead the various groups. So it's been we'll have a template from which to work with, and we have a process from which to work with. So we anticipate it should be an issue of refining and aligning as we go forward. Thank you. Other questions?
Seeing no more requests to speak, I guess we vote to accept for review and study, since there was a motion. There was already a motion and second before discussion. So we'll go ahead and vote on that. Unanimous yes vote, 1 student advisory yes. Thank you very much for your time. Next we have Irvine Valley College Student Equity Plan Report, their final report after last month's draft. And
Good
before they start, can I get a motion to accept?
Second.
Okay. Go ahead.
Good evening. Linda Fontanella here, Vice President for Student Services at Irvine Valley College. I appreciate you allowing us to come back this month and once again present our student equity plan. Last month we presented it for approval, but we were premature on that. That should have been a review and study for you also. As noted last month in our plan, we had not yet received our college allocation, but shortly after visiting with you, we did receive our allocation, and we went back and looked at our budget process and went through the budget process as well as our goals and activities. But before we get too far into the plan, I would like to acknowledge the folks who are here with me today and also the team that has worked on this plan for the last several months. We started our plan back in March as soon as we received a letter from the Chancellor's office. We didn't have quite as many folks come forward who were interested in working in the plan. We had a very small committee, but we had a very committed committee. And I would just like to acknowledge the members who came on a regular basis for the last 9 months. We met at least once a month for 2 hours at a time. And as the dates grow closer, we were meeting just about every 2 weeks. So I have our ASIVC students. We had students on a regular basis participate in discussing our plan. And with me this evening, I have Dr. Kathy Schmeidler, our Academic Senate President and Professor of Biology, who was a regular attendee and represented the faculty. We also have Dr. Craig Hayward, our Director of Planning and Research. And our other researcher is not here tonight, but I definitely want to recognize Lisa Wang. Lisa Wang has been responsible for running most of the data in our plan and has worked many, many hours on our plan. We also have our classified Senate President, Vince Cooper, who came on a regular basis to our meetings, Arlene Elserode, who was in charge of our SSSP plan and the Dean of Enrollment Services, Dennis Gordon, who is not here with us tonight, and he is our Acting Director of Student Life and Leadership, Maria Nunez represented Student Services, and we also had Candice Yokono from Marketing and Publications, and we had the counselors come. They couldn't come on a regular basis, but they did show up. So that was our small group. We didn't have a large team, but as I say, they were very, very committed to the plan. You did have an opportunity to see our plan, so I will not go page by page or anything like that in our plan, but I wanted to say that our discussions were led with the understanding that our plan supported district and college goal number 2, promoting student success by enhancing the teaching and learning environment, and also objective 2.1, increasing student completion rates while preserving access, enhancing quality, and closing the achievement gap. So looking at that goal and that objective, our discussions were derived from that. we started out with 6 areas of disproportionate impact, but we noted the letters from the Chancellor's office that were encouraging us to look at foster youth and veterans. So we included foster youth and veterans in our area of disproportionate impact. And looking at the same indicators that Dr. Avalos reported, we looked at access, ESL, and basic skill completion, ESL and basic skill completion in English, degree and certificate completion, and transfer. And like Saddleback, we saw a number of our older students where there was disproportionate impact. And for some of the same reasons, we had some very long conversations about why this was happening with our older students, and we came up with much of the same conclusions as Saddleback did. Many of our students have actually said to their faculty members and in their classes that they are there to learn how to have conversation with the rest of their family, and some of the students who are going to IVC. We have students going to IVC and their parents are in our ESL courses. And so they're coming to learn how to have better conversations with their families and to be able to have better conversations in the community. So they're not there for a goal to transfer or earn a certificate, but they come in at a level where they believe they are comfortable, achieve that, and then they stop out for a while. And sometimes they do return. So we saw that in our ESL students from the ages of 35 and up. We also saw that we had older students in our basic skill completion in English who were older students of 40 to 49 years of age. And that particular area, we are definitely delving into that. We want to do more research to find out why that is the cause. We're not sure yet. We want to also do outreach to the students and find out how we can support them. So a lot of our activities are centered around additional research and also reaching out to the students to talk to them one-on-one to find out how we can support them. We had some disproportionate impact in the same area of ESL and basic skill completion with our African American students. There was a question about whether or not these were African students of descendants from Africa, or African American. We could not answer that from the questions that they answered on their ethnicity in some of our applications and the way the student equity plan was written. So we are planning to go out and engage with this population of students to find out if we can differentiate which of the populations are actually having the disproportionate impact or lack of success in these areas. We also had a long discussion about students who are, their goal is to achieve a degree or certificate completion, but we see that there's disproportionate impact in the ages between 25 and 29. Our discussions led us to the fact that we believe a lot of these students are now at the age where they are moving out of home, they're having to work, they are not used to having this schedule of working and going to school and maybe having to take night classes, and so they are not finding a lot of success. We don't know that for sure, that's speculation on our part, but we certainly want to do more outreach to these students to find out how we can support them. And lastly, there was disproportionate impact shown in the area of transfer with our Hispanic students. This has been a commonly known area for African American males and Hispanic males to show disproportionate impact. We've had talks about this at our statewide conferences, and of course we're seeing it here in the local area. At this time, I wanted to turn it over to Craig. I think he had a few things to say about the research. Craig?
Thank you very much. Craig Hayward, Director of Research, Planning, and Accreditation at Irvine Valley College. Sorry about that. Can you hear me? Am I coming through? Actually, I don't have prepared remarks. I'm really here to answer your questions. If you had any questions about disproportionate impact or the research that was done, how it was conducted, I'm at your service.
Okay, well, I do have one request to speak from Trustee Lang.
Yes, thank you for the report. Actually, I found the IVC report to be a little bit more reader-friendly from the standpoint of the graphics and the color and so forth. So there was one item that looked like it might have been a slight error to me. It was on page 20 of the report, and it was item 7, the transfer indicator. At the bottom for the target, you had as a goal to increase the transfer rate among Hispanic students by 5 points from 35% to 38%, and I think that should be 3 points.
Or 40%.
Yes, you're correct. Thank you for catching that. We'll fix that.
Or go to 40.
Yeah. Or go to 40. That's good.
Trustee Milchker.
Well, one thing, I thank both of you for the reports. They're both colleges are really fascinating. One of the sessions that I attended, the presentations that I attended at the presentations from the student research projects on Saturday was some of the psychology students, and these were Beta Psi students. I think it is the Psychology Honor Society at Irvine Valley College, and they talked about different ways that students can succeed in colleges. And one of the research projects they did is they had a student mentor go into classes and talk to the students at the beginning of the class about attending tutoring sessions, about the different opportunities students can get for help in their classes. And then when they did the research at the end of the semester, they found out that the students that had these student mentors, compared to students that didn't, the increase in retention was over 10%, which is statistically significant. So I'm just throwing this out that perhaps you could have some of the students' researchers work with you in doing some of the research and what helps the students and what doesn't help the students. And I just found it fascinating. So I'm just throwing that out as an idea to you, okay?
Thank you. Excellent suggestion.
Okay. Seeing no further requests to speak, we'll go ahead and vote. Oh.
May I? Kathy Schmeidler, Academic Senate President at IVC. It sort of addresses some of the questions that you've posed and perhaps some that you've alluded to. And that is, especially when we look at the statistics about completion and about success, transfer rates, and so forth. And that is that we now are requiring all students to have an academic plan, an educational plan, and yet we don't actually look at that plan when we start measuring success, which is odd to me. It's certainly, the educational plan is useful for the student's sake, no matter what. But if we're going to recognize that students do have educational goals that they recognize, it seems to me that we ought to acknowledge and recognize and count those as well. So this last weekend, the Academic Senate for the state of California, for the community colleges, the state of California had its fall plenary, and I actually wrote one and amended another resolution at that meeting addressing just exactly that set of issues, that we would like the state to recognize that a student's completion of that student's educational goal be counted as a completion or as a success. Many of our students, and I would hazard a guess, and of course we don't have the data yet, we're hoping to get some of these data, but I would hazard a guess that especially among our middle ages of student and the older students, that many of them have educational plans that don't include transfer to Cal States and UCs, that don't include completion of our GE or programs, but that might, for example, in addition to the ESL people who just want to learn how to speak English and live in this country properly, or better or easier, speak to their children and so forth, that we have probably a lot of people who want to either get jobs or improve their employment status. And in order to do that, don't necessarily need that package of courses that we call programs or that we call degrees. And it seems to me that we ought to, as a state and as a community, start counting those sorts of completions as completions. They are part of the mission of the California Community College system. So I suspect that as we go forward and continue to do our research, that we'll find a whole bunch of these other answers in there as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Excellent points. All right, so now we'll go ahead and vote on the item, accept the report. Unanimous yes vote and one student advisory yes vote. Before we move on to the next item, Trustee Wright.
I move that we extend the meeting to 9:30.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to extend the meeting to 9:30. As much fun as that sounds. Haven't done this in a long time.
That's a long meeting.
All right. I'll go ahead and vote on the item. Unanimous yes vote and one student advisory yes vote. Thank you. Item 6.6, district-wide air-blown fiber award of bid.
Move approval.
Second.
I have a motion of approval and a second. I have an explanation from Dr. Bimici.
During the course of the networking project, a new technology became available. It was chosen. The old way of pulling fiber optic cables was to take a cable and use a wire to fish it through a larger thing. This is the new thing. This is ABF. This is a honeycomb that consists of, this particular one is 19 channels, and this is 7 channels. Those channels are rigid enough where compressed air can actually blow the fiber optics for long distances. And so instead of having a pipe with one, you can have a pipe where you can blow 19 separate channels. That's the difference.
Impressive.
Yeah.
Nice visual aids. All right. Seeing no further requests to speak, we'll go ahead and vote on the item. Oh. Pause. Student Trustee Carrillo.
Sorry, I'm just curious. I used to do that before, fish the hooks through the MRI departments with a line, right? The metal line. I was wondering who invented that.
I'm not sure.
That's very unique.
Yeah, it comes from a company called Cable Masters.
Thank you.
All right, now we'll vote on the item. Unanimous yes vote, one student advisory yes. Item 6.7, board policy revisions for review and study.
I do have one change.
Okay, we have a motion, and do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second.
All right. There are 4 board policies outlined on the cover sheet of the board item, except that you'll see there's 5 board policies in the exhibit.
Okay.
Exhibit C, which is 4011.1, we're wordsmithing one of the paragraphs on page 12, so that will be pulled off the agenda. So before you, if you would look at only A, B, D, and E for review and study for this evening.
The 4 that are listed.
Yes.
Okay.
Which are exhibits A, B, D, and E.
Got it.
Minus C.
Okay.
I amend my motion to...
Amended the original motion, and the second is, all right, we're good to go. Seeing no requests to speak, go ahead and vote on the item. Unanimous yes vote, one student advisory yes vote. Item 6.8, cost of living allowance, 0.85% COLA per the employee agreement for the 2014-15 fiscal year.
Second.
A motion and a second from Trustee Wright and Trustee Lang. Seeing no requests to speak, we'll vote on the item.
Jemal.
Trustee Jemal. A unanimous yes vote and one student advisory yes vote. 6.9, academic personnel actions.
So moved.
We have a motion from Trustee Jemal, second from Trustee Jay. No changes. No requests to speak. Go ahead and vote on the item. Unanimous yes vote and one student advisory yes. 6.10, classified personnel actions.
No changes.
Second.
Motion from Trustee Jay, second from Trustee Jemal. No changes. No requests to speak. Go ahead and vote on the item. Unanimous yes vote, 1 student advisory yes. Report 7.1, Saddleback College and Irvine Valley College speakers. Any questions on those? Moving on, 7.2, Basic Aid Report.
No changes since last month.
No changes, no request to speak. Moving on to 7.3, Facilities Plan Status Report. Seeing no request to speak. Moving on to 7.4, Monthly Financial Status Report. I think we hit a lot of that in the audit. 7.5, Quarterly Investment Report. 7.6, Academic Year 2015-2016 non-resident tuition fees for foreign and out-of-state students.
These are estimates provided for information purposes only. The actual recommendations come at the January board meeting.
Okay. Trustee Lang?
Yes. Actually, my question is not about, it's about a report that's normally within this section, and I couldn't remember that we had voted not to have it anymore. It was regarding the Futurus Trust Fund.
Right. No, you didn't vote not to have it. It will be available next month because of the short time frame between in November and December. I don't know if you recall. It's a little bit tight time frame to produce the report. And so by the time the board items are already due to you all, it's not available.
Thank you for the explanation.
Okay.
I did look at the trust this morning, and we're doing pretty good. So,
all right. 8.0, we are now on to reports from governance groups. We'll start with Saddleback College Academic Senate, and he is not here. So then we'll move to Faculty Association.
Yeah, the Faculty Association would also like to congratulate Trustee Padberg on her reelection, and also Trustee Milchiker and Trustee Prendergast for not having to have be reelected. So congratulations to all of you, and no other report. Thank you.
Thank you. Irvine Valley College Academic Senate.
Kathy Schmeidler, President of the Academic Senate at IVC. We echo the Faculty Association well wishes and congratulations. And I was asked to announce 2 items that you might be interested in going to. This coming Saturday at 8 p.m. at IVC will be a lecture and demonstration of dance as a broadly instructional medium. And on December 4, 5, and 6, there will be the Fall 2014 dance concert. Obviously, I ran into one of the dance instructors, and that was the message that she sent. Thank you.
Good message. All right. Associate Vice Chancellor Economic Development is not here either. And Vice Chancellor Technology and Learning Services.
No report.
Vice Chancellor Human Resources.
Congratulations, Trustee Padberg.
Thank you.
Recently, I was part of organizing an organization called the HR Leadership Academy, which focuses on community colleges and HR people inside of them. And so we had a plan to launch a program to educate 20 people with 40-plus hours of education, including Warren Kinsler as one of the faculty members, for free. And with that, we had 28 people attend, including 2 people from our district. So planning was great except for how many people wanted to come. So the graduating class graduated in October of this year, so that was very successful. With that, just one comment. Trustee Lang's birthday is tomorrow. I thought I would just share that.
Aww.
So just in case anybody wants to lead it.
All right. Oh, that's not going to happen. No offense. That is just not. Nobody wants to hear that.
President Pendergast, if you don't want to do that, I'll be happy to start. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear David. Happy birthday to you.
All right.
When is his review up? Okay. Vice Chancellor Business Services.
no report tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Irvine Valley College Classified Senate.
Thank you, sir. Vincent Cooper, President, IVC Classified Senate. In light that this is a school night, no report.
Thank you. CSEA?
That's not happening with me. Thank you, Mr. President. We just a few brief things. We now have an official negotiating team as we're getting ever closer to negotiations for 2015. To my left is one of the members of my team, the President of Classified Senate, Mr. Vince Cooper. And so we're happy to have him on the team as well. We also have 5 alternates, and with that, we're hoping that we have good representation from the different work areas across the district so that all classified personnel can be represented. This Saturday, we have a pre-retirement seminar that CSEA is presenting. That's going to be held at the Gordon Beatty Elementary School in Buena Park. It starts at 9 o'clock. And in attendance will be CalPERS staff that will present retirement details specific to classified school employees. Plus, they'll be able to hear how they can stay a member of the CSEA retirement unit, and especially now with those that are on fixed incomes. So we're hoping that there'll be a good attendance. In that meeting, Social Security information will be handed out. Also, too, our association president, Mr. Michael Bilbrey, appointed a technology task force to look how CSEA uses technology, what members may need technology-wise, and what we need to do in the future to keep up with the rapidly changing technological world. Thank you.
Thank you. And last but certainly not least, we have Saddleback Classified Senate.
Thank you, Mike Sauter, Classified Center President, Saddleback College. Just one thing to say tonight. I wanted to say thank you to the college community, our administrators, our faculty, our classified staff, and our students, and our board members, and the folks up at District for making this year's Thanksgiving baskets for our veterans and their families a success. And we couldn't have done it without the support of the college community. With that, we raised hundreds of dollars through our donation efforts through the foundation, and boxes and boxes of food that we put together on Saturday. And I just wanted to say a special thanks goes out to Craig Connor, Grizel Heredia, Kimia Rezvani for their leadership on this endeavor, and then for the build team that showed up on Saturday morning. Linda Holland, daughter, Craig Connor and his family, Grizel Heredia, Pat Nutting, Patricia Landingham, Farnaz, Jason Conway, and Brooke Sauter, and myself, and we tagged brought our little one along too. It was a fun day, and we hope that the efforts continue throughout this holiday season. But thank you very much.
Thank you. Great.
All right. Well, we have to stay here till 9:30 because of... Just kidding. All right. I think we're adjourned. Have a nice night.